Hello, welcome back to the Masonic Roundtable, a weekly program where Masons from around the world get together to talk about Masonic news and opinions in a friendly and social manner. As a reminder, the thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely the opinions of the participants and do not represent any Grand Lodge statements or positions. Make sure you keep your conversations open for the public and on the level. To interact with us, you can send questions and comments to the Facebook live stream, good evening and hello, or in the YouTube chat running alongside this YouTube video. So good evening and hello to all of you. You know me, my name is John Ruark. I'm a past master of the Patriot Lodge number 1957 in Fairfax, Virginia. And Mike is feeling under the weather, so no Mike the intern tonight. But we do have Robert Johnson. Good evening, Robert.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
Robert Johnson, past master Waukegan, sitting secretary at Space Novum Lodge, and host of Whence Came You, the Masonic podcast. Thanks.
Dun, dun, dun. Next up, looking rather dapper because it looks like he came from Lodge. Because he did. Jason Richards.
And why we're late tonight. Hey, Jason Richards here, past master and sitting Lodge Education Officer of Acacia Lodge number 16 in Clifton, Virginia, and member of the Colonial Lodge number 1821.
How was Lodge tonight?
It was good. So, pro tip, if you want me to show back up in Lodge, guilt me into being Lodge Education Officer and then say, by the way, you're obligated to give the Lodge Masonic education.
I was told there would be education. So
yeah, Lodge was nice. We did a little talk on Robert Burns because his birthday is coming up later this month.
Oh, man, I haven't had any good haggis in a long time.
Have you ever had good haggis?
Well, I had this one. That was about it.
Okay.
I have had bad haggis, though. So have you.
Yes. At the same night.
Oh, it was cat food on a plate. It was bad. Different conversation. Next up, Juan Sepulveda. Have you had good haggis, Juan?
I don't intend to have any, but I still love Brother Robert Burns. Good evening, everyone. Juan Sepulveda from the Winding Stairs Freemasonry podcast and a senior deacon at Orange Blossom Lodge number 80 in sunny Kissimmee, Florida.
Robert Burns probably loved you too, Juan. He loved a lot of women.
He loved everybody.
Loved a lot of things. Yes, people.
He loved all the things.
I'm a woman?
You are whatever you want to be, Juan.
Right answer.
Awesome. Also want to give a special shout out to the patrons who've been supporting the show over the past year. If you want to help continue this little bit of Masonic education, you can head on over to patreon.com/the Masonic Roundtable and help support the show by chipping in a little bit. You get some access to behind the scenes content and a couple other little extras here and there. So thank you very much for all that you guys have done for Masonic education. As for this year's show, because it's 2020, new decade, new year, new me, as we were talking about in the green room, the trite expression of new year, new me, right? What is it about this time of year where we had that, heart-touching experience of the solstice season, and we've moved past that. We're getting ready to start a brand new arbitrary calendar date, but yet we take this opportunity to do a reset, to stop and reflect while everything's still, kind of slow at work, slow at home. Just while we can take a breath, let's take a breath tonight and try to share some of our thoughts and opinions on what the whole concept of resolutions mean to us, both Masonically and personally. And I know this, as we always say, Juan's always inspired me as an introspective, practical application kind of guy, both Masonically and personally, on tips and tricks about how to make life be more better, how to be a gentleman, and so I'm gonna hand it off to you, Juan, for what are your perspectives of why we even go through this ritual every year of trying to set new resolutions. Before we get into details of what ours are, just what's your thought process on this whole resolutions thing?
Yeah, and it is, for the most part, it's a very well subscribed kind of activity where you have this energy about in the world of renewal. And of course, as soon as the winter solstice happens, you start getting a little bit more light and becoming ideally a little bit more enlightened. You kind of synchronize your ambitions and your future desires along with the season. um, of course, some people say, well, why, if you want to have a resolution, why not start it just whenever you become resolute about the change? And I think that people are capable of doing that. But there's a very unique kind of energy in the air, uh, to put it woo-woo-ish, and it is the support of the people around you. You have a lot of people that take this time of the year to actually be reflective, after spending a lot of time with family, spending a lot of time with spoons in their mouth, and tossing back some highly caloric drinks. It's time to start saying, okay, what am I going to do different in the upcoming year? So, is that support network, I think, what adds the most value. Getting to hear other people's ambitions, other people's dreams for the new year can be encouraging for you to set your own milestones and get started in the right foot.
That's awesome. I'm glad you kind of laid that out there, because as I was preparing for the show, one idea came to me as I was looking through some of my resolutions this year. I noticed most of them were more like goals rather than resolutions, which got me thinking, what's the difference? Because, when you normally think of resolutions, it's to build a habit, basically to try to change something for the better, whether it be to exercise more, lose weight, read more, whatever, right? But some of mine were just flat out goals that I want to accomplish this by this time of the year. And it got me thinking, is one, what's the difference? And then two, is it okay to have just goals? Because that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. But if you look at the actual definition of what a resolution is, it is a firm decision to do or not to do something. So it's a firm decision. Goals, you could argue, are they're waypoints, but if you miss them, that's okay. But they're goals, and so resolutions seem to be, and according to that definition, a little bit more firm on a commitment rather than an objective. So, what are your thoughts on that, guys? Jason, what do you think about that difference, or is there a difference?
So, I think you're completely right, John. For once,
Oh, you all
no,
heard it. Timestamp.
it's like one of those robocalls where they go, "Hey, can you hear me?" And when you say yes, they record it and then play it back to authorized purchases later. That's totally what's going to happen. No, when it comes to resolutions versus goals, I think a lot of folks view their resolutions as goals, and they jump into it kind of half-heartedly with very few, if any, consequences of falling short of those goals. So when you look at a resolution of something that you resolve yourself to do, I think if we were to take a more firm approach to our resolutions, I think we might spend more time coming up with them. We might spend more time figuring out what is actually achievable and feasible. We might have fewer of them, and they'll probably mean a whole lot more to us in the end. And finally, we'll probably have more opportunities on December 31st of the following year to reflect on what went well, what didn't go well, and then translate those lessons learned into your next batch of resolutions.
You had me at retrospective.
Yes. Ideally, the retrospective shouldn't be conducted on a yearly basis.
Yes, smaller learning cycles. That's the goal. So let's go around and let's start with Robert for what are your personal resolutions this year? because we'll do Masonic ones separately. So let's start off with your personal resolutions. What's Robert going to do better next year?
Well, so you talked about being nothing at all. Yeah. About being resolute in something and a firm decision to do or not do something. I think the concept itself is difficult because there's no real accountability um, in any of it, right? Like, unless you say, I'm making a resolution to lose weight or uh, jump off a cliff. Like, nobody's going to hold you to that, no matter what it is. So, the whatever I say, I have to hold myself accountable to in that respect. Um, and so, personally, this year is I just want to make sure that the books I start to read, I finish. I'm somebody who is very um, I bounce from book to book, which is totally normal. But for once, I would like to read a book all the way through and put it on my shelf and go, I read the whole damn thing. Um, right now, um, the goal is to get through the Vedas this year. Is what I want to do. I just started them about a month ago, and I don't know if he watches this, but a good friend of mine, brother Robert House, also is reading the Vedas currently, and it's just a really good text. And I that's my goal this year. My resolution is to read the Vedas. That's my personal one this year.
Very cool. Always a good one. How about you, Jason?
So it's funny you mentioned that, because my goal or my resolution this year is to just simply read more, and read more for the pleasure of knowledge seeking than anything else. You know, we do a lot of reading for the show. I do a lot of reading to beef up presentations, have to do a lot of reading for work. But what I don't do a lot of is reading for pleasure, and reading for the intention to just gain specific knowledge about a given a topic that I'm interested in. So my biggest resolution this year is to just simply read more and have fun while I'm doing it.
All right. So everyone send Jason your book recommendations, so he'll have plenty to read by the end of the year. You have 363 days left, so get on it. How about you, Juan, Man of Mystery?
No, 364. It's a leap year.
Son of a gun.
No, 366, right?
But
the
minus, it's the, math is hard.
Oh, minus today. Got it.
Public math.
Got it. All right. I haven't seen Jason's list. I'm sure he doesn't need suggestions for books. I know he has a list of books he wants to read, guaranteed, based on what I know about him.
There's a new Bart Ehrman book that comes out in like March.
I know. I'm pre-ordering that. Okay. Anyway, funny enough, this was very organic because my first resolution that I wanted to share was related to books as well. In 2018, I read 25 books, and I thought, oh man, I can do more. I can
That's
do.
Awesome. Dude, that's amazing. That's like what? It's more than 2 a month.
It's once every other week, pretty much.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So then at the beginning of the year, I'm like, I definitely have to set the bar a little bit higher. And I set it at 40 books for 2019. Now, one thing that happened.
And drum roll, please.
I finished 24 books.
Hey, that's still good.
Thank you. But here is what happened. Towards the middle of the year, I realized, you know what? I'm just checking off books. I'm not necessarily, it's like I'm competing for that number. Why does it even matter?
That reminds me of a Winding Stairs podcast I heard many moons ago
It has to
about
be revisited.
how to handle that stack of books that you have.
Yep.
I love that episode. Follow
Thank
your
you.
device.
I revisit that one every now and then. But I realize here I am just trying to check off books so that I can add them to my list of finished books at the sacrifice of really digging deep and really spending the time uh, finishing the book intentionally, taking notes. There are a couple of people that I follow who have very specific methods of reading books in order to further cement the knowledge they're coming across in the book into their permanent memory, as opposed to just finishing a book and having an idea about what it was and being able to say a couple of interesting things about it. Instead, being able to take that and apply it to your life because you've actually taken notes about what you read, created basically a list of how it applies to your own life and moving forward. So the resolution for 2020, I mean, this book related one, I'm staying at 25, but it's going to be very intentional reading.
Dude, that's awesome. For a couple reasons. The agilist in me would say, you had your velocity, you set a big goal, you still have the same velocity. Don't commit to any more than you can actually do. And that's awesome. And I think because you are purpose driven in your approach, it's not just to check off the boxes, as you said. I think that's a really cool approach. And I'm not blowing smoke when I say that is a great episode. And so for all of you listeners who've not gone back through the archives of the Winding Stairs, tell me what you got to tell me the episode number, Juan. Well, I know you're looking it up. Excellent episode on how to handle. See all these books back here? I've skimmed through most of them.
Episode 23.
Episode 23 of not this show, but the Winding Stairs podcast. Juan gives some excellent advice that I still remember many years later. So thank you, Juan.
Thank you.
So, John, now what we need to do is take Juan's agile mindset with book reading and scale it up to the rest of the roundtable.
Oh gosh,
in a safe manner.
How can we have multiple reading teams and determine average velocity? Gosh, you're such a nerd, Jason. Welcome back to the Agile Masonic podcast, where we talk all things agile and all things masonry.
None of us are bald enough to talk about safe.
That's true. Moving on.
You know what, Juan? Wait. Here's one last tip on reading. Use that super fast, one word at a time reading program.
Oh, I love that thing.
Yeah.
Just open any article, and then, man, you can finish anything you want in like 10 minutes. You can read Morals and Dogma in like an hour.
Yeah. You got to find it. You got to send that link in the YouTube chat there, Robert. So, links didn't happen. But I know what you're talking about. It's amazing how fast you can actually read if you're hyper focused. Reading aside, my personal goals. I'm gonna have a big major life event in June. That's about all I'm gonna say about that. And I need to prepare for that, and get money in order. Right, the whole.
Congratulations on your retirement.
Yes, I am bald enough to talk about something. So. A little thin hair on top. One thing I want to do is really focus on finances. Right? It sounds trite. It's the financial equivalent to losing weight, but yet at the same time, I was looking through all the dues I was been paying to all the Masonic organizations. Am I getting the value out of those, and then applying that to everything else in my life? Am I getting value out of this Disney Plus subscription, or this amount of dining out that we do? So just tighten the financial belt, as it were, and really make sure that I have my dollars are getting put to the most amount of utility they can. So I've been fascinated for a while with this whole financial independence, retire early, or FIRE movement. There's no way that I will actually retire early because I'm a millennial. Thanks, boomers. But I do find it fascinating when you stop and think about just how are you applying your dollars for the the maximum amount, right? Other than just consuming things. Um, it's a goal of mine that I want to tighten down and make sure that I'm hitting all of my long-term retirement targets, because I still got time to make those adjustments. Now, on to Masonic resolutions. What are those things we're going to be resolute about regarding our Masonic involvement in the year 2020? Let's go back around to Robert, the man, the myth, who does everything under the sun, just rolling out another Laudable Pursuit Audible book. Do you ever sleep? That's the real question. And if so, what's your secret?
I think we talked about that with our Ben Franklin 24-hour schedule, John.
You got it.
I am fairly resolute in my schedule. My friends and my family will tell you that I am an a-hole, because if you're not on my schedule, you're not on my life. And I love everybody, but I just have to live that way to get everything done that I need to get done. And when I say that, I mean, like, I schedule time that I block off time just so I can say this is uninterrupted time with my kids. And some people might say, well, then you're just too busy if you got to schedule all that stuff. It's no, I just want to make sure that they get uninterrupted time. So yeah, it's just time management. As far as 2020 interruptions, 2020 resolutions, I think one thing that we can take advantage of in terms of our platform, so via podcasts or blogs, we have a tendency to be able to ping things off audience and see if there's relevance there with certain ideas or concepts, and see how they take off. And one thing that I see what we could do is be more show more empathy, basically, to make it cool. It's okay to have feelings, right? A couple weeks ago, maybe it was last week, John ended the show and he said, "I love you guys." And we kind of joked a little bit, but that's okay to say that. And I think that's maybe 2020 is the year of "I love you," right? We should be able to say that kind of stuff all the time to your friends, your family. And you should maybe even be able to, like, walk up to your district deputy grand master who's busted your balls a few times and give him a hug at the end of the meeting and say, "Hey, I love you, man." And, like, like, maybe he's like, "That guy's weird. Why'd he say that?" But that's living Masonry, right? Like, that's a part of living that way. So I think that's something I want to be more cognizant of this year, is to just be in touch more. I mean, I'm really in touch with my feelings anyway. I can watch. Did you guys see the commercial for I think it was Android, and it opens with Stephen Hawking, the voiceover of Stephen Hawking? Dude, Night Sky, Stephen Hawking's voice came on, and I was just like, my kid's like, "You okay, Dad?" We're watching the last Star Wars movie, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm okay. I was like, damn it. So yeah, I have no problems with that, but, like, I think a lot of times I might feel like maybe I make somebody feel uncomfortable if I say that. I just want to get over that uncomfortableness and just be resolute and confident when I tell somebody that, and maybe they'll feel like it's okay too. Small goal.
I'm not hearing anything about attending lodge more often. I'm not hearing anything about making sure that you attend more barbecues.
Yeah, well, that
Like to
goes
read
back to
the
what you
minutes
said.
more?
Could we read
That-
them
that
twice?
Minutes more.
Read them twice.
That goes, well, that's what you guys do in Virginia. Here's the deal, right? John, you alluded to it when you talked about financial stability, and you're kind of measuring things against your experience. You vote with your feet. You do what brings you value. Spend your money on the things that give you value. And like lodges and stuff. I don't mention lodge because I don't have a problem going to lodge. I will go to lodge if somebody says, "Hey, we need help on a degree work. Can you help?" Yep. But I'm always going to be at my lodge meeting, right? Not just because I'm the secretary, but because I find extreme value in my lodge membership. I don't know. There are organizations that I pay dues to that I don't have great value for my membership other than access to certain research materials, but that is what it is.
There you go.
So you won't find that kind of an argument from me in terms of a resolution.
Yes, because as Juan did to his books, it's about quality, not quantity.
100%.
Same thing you apply to books also goes to lodge events. That's all I'm saying. Juan, care to elaborate on your Masonic resolutions?
That is so good, though. Your comment on that. That is the truth. What is the point of having so many dues cards and certificates and everything if you have nothing to show for it? You know, Freemasonry takes good men and makes them better if they let them. Yeah. And it seems like we tend to be the biggest obstacle in our own progression through life. But my Masonic resolution, I feel very. There are things that I'm going to keep the same. I feel, and there are things that I intend to improve upon. I want to narrow my focus, make sure that I am paying attention to the aspects of Masonry that really fulfill me, and the ones through which I can have a bigger impact on the brothers that I have contact with. That's one of the things that I want to strengthen in 2020. One thing that I want to keep the same is have my resolution is the only word, have that resolve that I have for keeping my participation in Masonry very focused. Of course, I want to be part of a lot of different bodies, and I recognize that I could be of service in leadership position in different areas, but I have to know when to say no. I need to be able to, in a respectful manner, give people the respect that they deserve by saying, if I were to commit to doing this with you right now, it would be at the expense of the quality that I'm able to give you. So I have to say no. And I don't know if this fits. I'm sure someone listening to our program may find some value in this. You will be invited to join multiple Masonic bodies this year, and you will be invited to take part in different initiatives. Don't um, be decisive. First of all, don't be saying, "Well, let me think about it. Well, maybe. Let's see what happens." No, give me a yes or give me a no, and if you do, be purposeful about
Be
it.
all in, yeah. So I have a
Yeah.
pro tip on that. This has been something that I got some advice on the internet somewhere. Therefore, it's got to be good. But it stuck with me, and it's a really good litmus test of if you are offered a choice of to do something or not to do something. If it's not a heck yes, then it's a no. Right.
Mhm.
So you have to think about, are you like really excited about it? And if you were like absolutely do it right then and there, that's when you should decide to do it, because as Juan said, you're choosing that
Yeah.
over something else. And so it's a really good way to not be passive, to give a passive yes, to give a half-hearted yes, but really to say, you know what, if you are offered an opportunity, if you are not all in it, you are in it to win it. If you're not all the way there, then don't be there at all. And that's okay. Saying no is okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to just say really quickly, Brad Drew's in the chat, and
He's lighting it up.
Brad Drew and I were sitting on a park bench in Ohio one day, and somebody asked if we wanted to join the shrine. It was a one-day festival thing that was happening, and Brad and I looked at each other and we were like, "Well, maybe." And Brad said, and he looked a guy dead in the eye and he said, "All right, I'm in. How long before we NPD?" And he
Wow.
didn't even break it. He didn't even break it. He was just like so serious and deadpan. It was awesome. The guy didn't even get it. I felt bad, but it was funny.
Was he one of the Georgia kids?
No.
No.
Similarly, reminds me of a quote that's attributed to Warren Buffett, but comes to find out he never said it, or he doesn't remember saying it, which is if you have a list of goals, right? Take a piece of paper, write down a list of like your top 25 goals, and just write them all down in priority order. Start with number 1, and then get all the way down to your 25th goal. He says, then what you do is you take your marker and scribble out numbers 2 through 25. Because if you're not completely focused on number 1, everything else is a distraction. So it's another practical tip, a way to prioritize. You have to be all in, or you're not at all, because you're not going to get 25 You're not going to get 25 goals accomplished. You should do one goal extremely well. Quality over quantity. I see a theme for tonight's episode. Quality over quantity. That being said, one of my Masonic resolutions, because I do plan to be resolute on this, it is something that I found to be a great goal that I do meet every year, and one that I have a deadline for, and that is to write a new and original research paper for some Masonic body or for some event. And so, in fact, I know I'm going to have 2, because I have one commitment for my SRCF college, and then another commitment for the Chicago Masonicon coming up in September. But having, as we've said before, and this is, if you go back and watch some of the earlier resolutions episodes, I bring this up as a goal that I think every Mason should have, is to do some independent research and present it every year. Just one paper, one PowerPoint, one something, right? One independent research that you've done, that you've gone beyond just reciting someone else's Tyler talk, or someone else's short talk bulletin, or someone else's paper I found on the internet. Come up with something that adds a little bit more value, or your perspective, if nothing else. And so I am resolute on that, to come up with some original research and present that this calendar year. So I try to, and have successfully done for the past 5 years at least, come up with a new, unique research paper that adds to the body of Masonic knowledge. So that's one of my Masonic resolutions. Another one is more of a goal that my Masonic calendar is filling up, and unlike where I could go to everything, but that's quantity over quality. With family commitments and all, I want to make sure that the things I do attend are of the utmost importance and quality. So I want to make sure that as I go through my Masonic commitments over the year, that I do the things that provide me the most value, provide Masonry the most value, and limit the amount of time away from the family. So that's it's hard to do. It's a juggling act, as is life, when you balance your personal calendar against your work calendar and against your family calendar, and try to make, as we call it at work, we try to play Outlook Tetris, where you try to do what Robert does. And okay, I can schedule some daddy time between 3:15 and 3:20. So if you could just be available, that'd be great. But that's the extreme. But in all seriousness, you do need to make sure everything gets scheduled to the greatest satisfaction of a whole. So that's my Masonic resolution.
But also having that schedule and kind of being rigid with it is I think my kids in particular love structure and discipline. They might not like it, quote, but they thrive on it. So having that structure for us, they're always like, "Oh, Dad, it's time to go hang out. Can we go to the skate park?" "Yep, let's go." Whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
It sounds very Orwellian, but discipline is liberating.
Yes.
There, I said it. Jason, did we get you for Masonic resolutions? Okay, I don't know who we hit.
Not yet.
Okay, well, Jason, what's your Masonic resolution?
Oh man. See, I had a great one, and then when you called on me, my mind went blank. So for me, Masonic and otherwise, because it counts for things past Masonry, I want to be present in the moment more. So much.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you say something? I got distracted.
Okay. Yeah. No, I said I want to punch John more. No. This holiday season has been really, really busy with hosting both sets of the family, looking to move into a new domicile. There's just a lot going on. Having your sink valve burst at 2 a.m. That's fun.
Sorry to hear. Is it dry yet?
Yes, it's dry.
Okay, good.
Yes. But one of the things that I catch myself doing is just thinking, oh, I can't wait for next week, or oh, I can't wait until we move in, or I can't wait for this, I can't wait for that. And I have a hard time being comfortable with just being in the moment and being content with where I am at present. And so whether I'm at a lodge meeting, spending time with brethren, hanging out with my son, spending time with family, or at work, I want to work on being more comfortable and being more present in the moment without distractions.
Excellent. Okay, so, in making sure I didn't skip anyone, Robert, Juan, did I skip either of you for Masonic resolutions? I didn't think so. Okay, now the big culmination of tonight's episode is a question that comes from the Facebook video where one of the viewers asks, can you guys discuss the process of achieving one's resolutions or goals? Most people create this mental image of what they want done, but they never develop a step-by-step plan to get it done. So, Robert, what do you do to get your goals done? Scheduling is one.
Sure. So also somebody had asked in the chat, nobody has health or wellness or whatever kind
that's
of
interesting
goals
this
set.
year.
And I think those are just ongoing goals. You know, those were goals that we've all mentioned in the past. And I think it's an ongoing system. John had a routine where he was getting up every day, and like we all just kind of do that as a progressive thing that never really stops, because once you hit a certain age, it's actually like a war, like a battle that you have to continue on, right? It's like when you're in space, you have to work out like hours a day just to survive when you come back. But the thing is we're here and we're not coming back anywhere. We just have to work out hours a day to maintain. Being men, we do have a little bit of an upper hand in that. Our bodies respond more to that. So you have that advantage. But anyway, as far as getting things done, I kind of subscribe to something that's alluded to in some of the first lessons of Builders of the Adytum, which is the 7 Lessons of Practical Occult. And that is this idea, there's a set of things that you do in order to assist you in manifesting whatever this goal is. So if it's write a book or whatever it is, but it does involve saying something out loud, right? So when you make a resolution, you're making an audible acclamation of what this thing is. So you're saying it out loud. I don't know if you've ever gone to like therapy or you've had a counselor session or something, and they dig and dig and dig, and you kind of know what they're digging and you know what they want you to say, but you're still not okay with saying it out loud. And then finally you say it out loud, like, whatever the case may be, insert embarrassing thing here or shameful thing here. And then you say it and you're like, oh, that's the first step to getting over it or doing something better. So in the same respect, in the same token, saying out loud and saying to the world whatever that goal is, you're beginning a process. The second thing is to make a list of things that will help you achieve that. And then consistent visual reminders. So maybe something that would help many of us today is, I don't know what's the average, how many times a day do you check your phone? Set the background image to something that completely either reminds you of or is exactly what you want, right? And so every time you open it up and you see that picture, it's like, there it is. Maybe it's just a picture of, negative weights or whatever the case is.
I have
And
an
then so
idea
yeah,
for people who have
you got,
trypophobia. The back screen of your phone has to be the most disgusting image so that you spend the least time with your phone in your hand.
there you go.
Interesting.
But
That's one
what you can
approach.
do is you basically make these plans, and so it has a twofold effort. Whether you believe in the uh, believe it to see it mentality or not, you have two things going on. One is if you're a very down to earth, plain vanilla science person, and you don't believe in any of the laws of attraction or anything like that, that's fine. But one thing you are doing when you do this is a self, like a self-actuated brainwashing, for lack of a better term. You are conditioning yourself to want this thing at a level that you'll become emotional about and will eventually achieve, because the iceberg of what this is working underneath and behind everything. It's your underlying motivator. And then, of course, if you do believe in things like laws of attraction, by the simple act of writing it down and saying it out loud or reciting whatever your goal is every single day, and keeping that goal secret is a big part of it. You can't tell anybody what it is. Write it down, put it in your wallet every morning before work, take it out, read it to yourself, say it out
Yeah.
loud, put it back. Like, this isn't a cult practice, nothing crazy. It's just one of those tips and tricks. If you believe in that kind of a thing, that's something else that you can do. And I have no problem telling you that I do have a practice that I do that, and I don't tell anybody. I can't tell you what it is, or it doesn't work, right? Has it worked for me in the past? Yes, but that's it. That's kind of my way of going through things. A twofold system, and it's really just always working towards whatever that thing is.
Robert, yes or no? Do you tell your wish when you blow out the candles on your birthday cake? Do you tell the wish or do you keep it secret?
I do not.
Oh, okay. You're that kind of guy. Or else it doesn't come true, right?
It's for me only.
Okay. I'll take the next one and say to make something real, to make practical step-by-step things. You've heard us nerd about the agile process a little bit, and wrote a little bit about that in It's Business Time, adapting a corporate approach to masonry. You can go check that out as well. It applies for personal use, not just Masonic use, but I'll change it up a bit and say if you break your goals down into smaller pieces and check in regularly, you're more apt to start following them, or at least to adjust if something doesn't go right. Right? Don't do that retrospective at the end of the year like Jason and I talked about. I was reading Dan Pink, who's written many kind of leadership kind of types of books. There was one book where he talked about the power of when, and he, in one section of his book, talks about 86 days in the year when you can make a fresh start. So why does it have to be New Year's Day, right? If we're trying to do resolutions, he says there are actually, if you need a mental landmark to hit the reset button and try again, he says I'm going to give you 86 of those in the year, and here they are. The first day of all 12 months. Every Monday morning when you get up, you have 52 Mondays. The first day of spring, the first day of summer, first day of fall, first day of winter. Your country's Independence Day or equivalent. An important religious holiday, your birthday, a loved one's birthday, first day of school or the first day of a semester or the first day back to work. the first day of a new job, the first day after graduation, the first day back from vacation, the anniversary of your wedding, first date or divorce, or all three. The anniversary of the day you started your job, the day you became a citizen, the day you adopted your dog or cat, the day you graduated your school or university, or the day you finished this podcast. So these are all different types of, I modified that last one, but these are all reasons to start over and hit the reset button. And so if you pick your goal, you do what Robert says, and you are mentally materializing that goal. Every one of these, you have 86 plus ritual observances that you can set aside to say, hey, how am I doing on that goal? And if it's not working, what can I adjust? Do I adjust my process or adjust my goal? That's simple. So there's a practical way you can adjust year-round, not just January 1st. All right, Robert, Jason? Not Robert, Juan, Jason, anything else you want to add?
Yes. Okay. There were a couple things I wanted to mention real quick. We usually hear the word resolution, and a lot of people have this instant aversion to the word, and we don't always think about what it really represents. Just like when you think of breakfast, you think of that delicious meal you have in the morning, but no, it is the actual act of breaking your fast. So, when we talk about resolutions, it is not that instant thing that comes to your mind, this thing we do on December 31st and carry on not so good for the first 2 weeks of the year, but instead is adopting a resolute mentality towards something. You have a determination of something you want to materialize in your life. So here's my practical tip when it comes to really making that material. If you're thinking about a physical kind of goal or thing that you want to do, and I'll give you an example. One that John actually inspired me for was to be mindful about flossing. I had been flossing sporadically. Whenever I remembered, whenever I saw open the drawer and I saw the floss there. And I remember we had a conversation, we were talking about that you had made it a point to combine that particular goal with others. So you had bundled some decisions, and I thought, you know what? I need to do that. Today in North America, according to the latest study, about 30% of people floss on a daily basis. What?
Wow.
That means that 2/3 of people don't. It has consequences beyond what you can imagine. So last year, it was one of my personal resolutions to floss every day. And if I missed 5 days in 2019, I'm exaggerating. So it's doable. How? I decided, period. I said, at night, when I brush, I will floss, period. There's no obstacle between me and getting it done. So eliminate as many obstacles between you and exercising, between you and calling your dad on Tuesday afternoons, between you and going to lodge on Thursday nights. Don't do it on Thursday nights. Go to lodge some other time. Remove the obstacles from doing that. And be resolute about your decision. I'm going to have the same breakfast every single day, a nutritious one at the same time, so that I can break my fast efficiently. Good luck.
So that reminds me a little bit of what one rebuttal I was going to have to Robert earlier about, goals are great, but, no one's going to hold you accountable. And I'm like, that's totally against the introspective Robert that I know, right? Of, like, you are your ultimate critic. Right? You should be the one that's holding yourself to the highest caliber, right? It's hard. It's totally hard. We're emotional beings. We're going to cheat. We're going to break. We're going to fall off the cart. But then you should just dust yourself off and get back up again. And so, so kudos to you, Juan, for holding yourself. You're holding yourself accountable. You don't need an accountability buddy. You said, I'm going to do it. That's it. Done. Like, I don't need to make it a public thing. I'm choosing to do that. So,
you ever look at yourself in the mirror and just swear cuss yourself out?
Should I?
I'm the only one who's ever. I mean, I've done that for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, like,
it sounds therapeutic.
You're upset. You're just upset with yourself, and you get to vent all your frustrations with yourself.
Yeah. Okay. And more think about it. You're right.
Yeah. You've done that.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I feel a little bit better, but not not for getting it off your chest, but because you got to tell off the person who screwed it all up. And now you're also the person who can make it better. So,
Right.
I mean, it's not completely healthy, right? I'm not saying go out and punish yourself, but you are. Yeah, I totally agree. You're the person who's got to keep yourself accountable, and there's nothing to stand between that barrier. But I mean, it's you. You're the one making those choices, those decisions.
Yep. Jason, anything else you'd offer up for holding yourself accountable?
Be specific.
Smart goals, huh?
Yep. I think one of the most important pieces of that is specificity. So the only way that you can hold yourself accountable is if you start off on the firm foundation of having a good understanding about that thing about which you're holding yourself accountable. So if it is a goal to read more, how much, how often, when, about what, to what end. Those are all specifics that I need to fill in as I go forward in this next year. But don't just make these high and lofty goals. Oh, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to read more. I'm going to do this more. Be specific and be reasonable, because you're not going to boil the ocean because it's not sustainable. The goal here should be to make small, incremental, sustainable changes that increase your quality of life in some way, your quality of life, and perhaps the quality of life of others in some way. And to get that and to be able to achieve that, you're going to have to be specific, you're going to have to be measured, and you're going to have to be realistic.
Boom. Love it. Straight out of the PMP textbook. All right, let's go around for our final thoughts and shameless plugs.
That's not PMP.
That's specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-bound. But I digress. Robert, final thoughts and shameless plugs for tonight's episode. Go.
Final thoughts. Again, it's wonderful to be able to say out loud what the goals are, and it's almost even more accountability, right? Because we're all together, and whoever's watching or listening, and I'm reading other people's goals on the side, so I know what your goals are, guys. If I see you, I'm going to ask how you're doing with those, and you can do the same for me, and I'll tell you I love you. So thanks for watching this, and thanks for tuning in week after week. I know we just had holidays, so it's really cool that you guys come and hang out with us even after all of the family time and everything that's going on. Plugs that are going on. Please check out a couple things. Well, I'll let Jason and John talk about the other one, but Masonicon Chicago, September 18th, 19th, 20th. It's 3 days. 11 speakers. John and Jason will both be speakers there, so you're not going to want to miss what they talk about. They always kill it with everything they do. I've also got 9 other people coming out to do some great talks, so consider that. We've got tickets on sale for that. MasonicConChicago.com or Masonicon Chicago, however you want to spell it. Both will take you there. Grab those tickets. Also, we just launched the book. Was published back in 2006. It changed the Masonic landscape. I got together with Chris Hodap and I asked him if I could produce the Laudable Pursuit as an audiobook. He said yes. We went through all the motions. It took about a year to get everything together to do it, and we did it. And it's a great audiobook. I read it with other members of my lodge. It was engineered and directed by a member of my lodge. Not recorded here in this office, but in our professional recording studio. And Adam Hassel is the director and engineered it. He did a
Nice.
phenomenal job. So check that out. It's on Audible. It's free if you have never. It's free with a membership, or it's like $6.95 to buy, and it's an hour, 90 minutes long. And you won't regret it. It's already got, I think, 1 5-star rating. I'm waiting for the 1-star rating because you're nobody until you get one of those. But do check it out. All of the proceeds from the sale of the book go back to the Indiana Masonic Library and Museum. I'm not keeping anything from the sale of the book, and it's just all going back to them. It was a fun project to do to assist Chris and get that book out there, because that book allowed us to start a lodge, really. So
Yeah, I mean, it's no it's no stretch of the imagination to say that all four of us have been influenced by the Laudable Pursuit. So thank you for doing that. Cool. All right, Jason, what's the other thing that you were going to announce for a shameless plug coming up this year?
All right, shameless plug coming up in June. June 13th is the second annual Mid-Atlantic Esotericon event in Washington, D.C. And by Washington, D.C., I mean Manassas, Virginia. So it's going to be a fantastic time. Check out the early bird tickets for the brew night we're going to be having at Sinistral Brewery, where we had it last year before the event. So it'll be that Friday night before. There are only like 10 brew tickets left. So go and get those now. All the speakers will be there. It's a fun time to just chill and hang out with brothers. The entire next day is going to be completely packed. We've got a lot of fun things planned for everyone. We're going to have some great speakers like Robert Johnson, Chuck Dunning, and a couple other folks who we have yet to announce. So check it out. We've got a couple other things planned that are a surprise for everybody. It'll be really, really fun. It's going to be a great time, and everybody will enjoy it. So you'll want to come down for it.
Awesome. All right, Juan Sepulveda, over to you. Final thoughts, shameless plugs.
All right. At least pick one thing that you want to focus on. Give it your darnest. Don't let anybody or anything get in your way of accomplishing it. As soon as we hang out here, I'm going to exercise. I know it's going to be late, but it's part of my physical resolution. Anyway, so yeah, take whatever you can from this episode. A pro tip: whenever you want to stick to something, rely on tools that will boomerang them to you. So one thing you can do is you can take this episode, grab the link, put a reminder for 3 months in the future, and just by it, you'll know, oh, I do remember we talked about these, and there are all these ideas for resolutions. Maybe that's your touchstone for you to see where
you
you
know
are in
what?
progress.
We're even going to help you out. You ready for this? Every Thursday night at 9:30, when you're watching TMR, go do that thing that you said you were going to do. Every Thursday, we're your reminder. Oh, TMR's on. Crap, I got to do that thing. Go do that thing.
That's right. You get 52 free reminders to to get on it. On a personal note, if you need some of my assistance into building and implementing some of the lessons of Masonry into your personal life, actually putting the working tools of the craft to use in your life, I invite you to go to appliedfreemasonry.com, sign up. I continue relentlessly to make the Strong Foundation course better, and 2020 has a lot of improvements to it, so be a part of it. Appliedfreemasonry.com. Thank you, brothers.
Hey, Juan.
Si, senor.
What you wearing?
Oh, my good lord. Look at this.
Oh,
Bam!
Wow.
That's
It
awesome.
has to be one of my favorites.
Yeah, so where can someone find such a t-shirt?
They can go to freemasonryart.com.
Oh,
I might send one of those. Too.
Love it. Yes. Also, my new favorite shirt. So, good job on that as well. Yes,
Thank
that
you.
is for those who are listening to the non-video version of the episode. Juan has come out with a new Flower of Life and Square and Compass t-shirt that is fantastic. So, I love it. Thank you. All right, back to me. Let's see. We have one little shout out. A super chat from Brian White in the YouTube chat, who alluded back to all the way back something in the beginning of the episode where Juan was talking about something a little bit more woo-woo-ish. So Brian White did a hashtag more woo-woo-ish for this heartfelt, introspective episode. So thank you, Brian, for supporting the show. I think, again, the theme of tonight's episode is quality over quantity. And so if you can stick to those goals, we've given you lots of tips to help stick to it. Make sure you're sticking to the thing that is giving you the greatest amount of quality for the amount of effort you're putting into it. And I hope all of you have an awesome 2020 to rock out your personal and your Masonic goals. And so for that, I want to say thank you all very much for watching, and keep searching for more light. Have a good one.